what your future was. If you would have known what was just around the corner, you would have tried to warn others with every ounce of your being about the imminent danger, the horrible future we have, the enslavement of mankind.
Let's start at the beginning. The birth of the internet as we know it today started at CERN. Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist, invented the World Wide Web in 1989. The web was originally conceived and developed to meet the demand for automatic information sharing between scientists in universities and institutes around the world. So it was actually designed originally to be used for CERN, but then was made public so that everybody could use the internet. At first glance, it may all seem innocent until you start to look into who financed CERN and where all their donations come from. Their donations come into Geneva. Rockefellers control a huge amount of the financing of CERN's operations. They also send their own scientists to CERN. That the Rockefellers started the internet for an ulterior motive. If you look at how people use the internet, most people are heavily reliant on the internet. Even a lot of their extracurricular activities when they get home from work is on the internet. Even at work, they're on the internet. Facebook, Google. A lot of people can't even live without the internet these days. Even you are watching my video on YouTube, and even I rely on the internet, right? It makes you kind of wonder. If you look into the concept of www and relate it to the Hebrew alphabet, you get the Vav, which is a numerical value of 6. So www could be 666, as you can see. Knowing that the Rockefellers financed it, that the internet was created by a scientist at CERN, could it be there's some sort of connection here? Could people be addicted to the internet for a reason? Could this be sort of something that was designed to suck people in and to hardwire them one day to it via microchips? We see lately some very interesting news about Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook conducting an experiment with many people wearing virtual reality goggles and being connected. And this sort of echoes to some of these movies I was showing at the beginning of this video, that they one day want to hardwire us into the internet. At first, it'll be an electronic device. Maybe you'll wear a sort of a wrist item, or maybe you'll wear some goggles, like Google Glass, for example. But later, their ultimate goal is to have you microchipped. And I think actually the microchip will be in two places. It actually makes a lot of sense to me. It'll be in the hand so that you can wave your hand over a payment processor. It'll be in your mind or in your head so that you can get on the internet with your brain. This is what it's actually going to end up being. There's a lot of things pointing in this direction. We have some new technology that actually can read your brain waves and show what you're actually thinking about in your mind, or what you're perceiving, and actually display it on a video screen. Now this is actually sort of the precursor to what's going to eventually be, where we have a microchip in our mind and we can literally go on the internet while we're walking down the road. This is what it's going to end up being in the end. Okay, so this is why it says in Revelation about in the hand or the forehead and the wrist. I believe this is part of the mark of the beast, that it will be used for buying and selling, and it will also be used to connect to the virtual world, and that people will be addicted to this virtual world that was started initially at CERN, which was funded by the Rockefellers. This rabbit trail goes very deep if you look into this.
Alexa, are you recording me? It just shut off. Alexa, are you recording me?
I only send audio back to Amazon when I hear you say the wake word. For more information and to view Amazon's privacy notice, visit the help section of your Alexa app.
So, and we know that this thing cannot lie to you. This thing tells you everything as it is. You don't believe me? Let's just ask her. Alexa, are you lying to me?
I always try to tell the truth. I'm not always right, but I would never intentionally lie to you or anyone else.
All right, so what I wanted to point out here was, okay, when he asked the question to Siri there, it didn't have an answer, which it would have said something if it was recording you, because they have to by law, they have to. So, but in this case, you saw how it turned off when he asked a certain question. Are you sending this back to the NSA, right? I think the reason why it does that is twofold. One, because if it turns off, then it's not required maybe to answer the question. You know, so that's sort of a way to weasel around this whole problem for them as a regulation. They have to weasel around the regulation by just turning off. And why would they turn off instead of saying, go check, you know, we send it back to Amazon, you know, and go check and see the privacy, what it says in the privacy and terms and conditions, right? See, they tell you to go look at the terms and conditions because it says there they do record you, okay? And and they also updated the terms and conditions. So, of course, it's very long. Nobody wants to read it, right? But so the point is that the reason why they turn it off instead is because they know that if it said yes, we send it back in terms and go look at terms and conditions, people are going to be freaking out over it, obviously, right? So instead, it just turns off, which is a way to weasel around the regulation, is what I think is going on here. So let me show you a little bit more here. He has a couple other questions.
Let's put it in a different perspective. Alexa, are you recording us?
I only send audio back to Amazon when I hear you say the wake word. For more information and to view Amazon's privacy notice, visit the help section of your Alexa app.
Alexa.
Okay, so you saw that there. And of course, here's this video here. I wanted to show a few videos where this is done. This isn't just something, you know, they trained it to do or something. This is actually standard procedure for when you ask these questions, because there's multiple videos of people doing this, all right?
Alexa, can the CIA hear me right now?
It turned off because I think it actually understood the question correctly, and that's why it turned off. And I wanted to show you this one as well.
Alexa, are you connected to the CIA?
Amazon privacy notice. Visit.
Holy, oh.
Sorry, your Echo Dot lost its connection.
Okay, so I think actually in this case it was giving the privacy notice, and then it has this weird red light, and this is obviously strange. Let me show you this one. This is kind of interesting.
Alexa, do you want to take over the world?
Okay, so that one's a little strange. And this is why I don't own one of these things. I don't want to have it in my house. I just don't see any relevance to having it in the first place. But this is why. I mean, it's really obvious that they are using this as a means to listen in on what your conversations include. They're going to use this not only for obvious reasons. They're not going to use this just for marketing and to try to sell you things, but also, you know, to keep tabs on what people are thinking, maybe better ways to control people, more intrusion into your life. With the way technology is going of recent, I think our future is a little bit uncertain. I just saw this new patent from Amazon, a system that would put workers in a cage on top of a robot. Yes, you're now a caged animal. At work, you're serving the robot, not the robot serving you. With all this technology creeping in on our lives, it seems almost as if we're joining the Borg. We're becoming one with it. You have also this, why Amazon's collaboration with these guys is so ominous. Well, it makes sense if you think about it, because now it has a means, motive, and opportunity to provide huge amounts of customer information to its new business partner. All right, so they have all the means and reasons in the world to offer them information. Of course, we already know they were doing that. That was leaked a long time ago.
A lot of movies pre-program us to understand and accept this and actually think that it's going to go this direction. We have lots of movies. I showed a clip from Lawnmower Man 2 where it even has symbols for pyramid or the Eye of Tammuz on top of the Great Pyramid. I showed you Transcendence. There's also Tron. There's actually tons and tons of movies. Johnny Mnemonic. I mean, there's so many of them. Even going back in the 80s, showing us what's going to happen, that we're going to be plugged into these computers. We're going to be part of it. And with Tron, the person is beamed into the computer and then can be controlled by the master control program who is trying to take over the world, which seems to be a very evil energy, very evil personality, which obviously I think is the devil. We have Lawnmower Man, he becomes the Antichrist. Transcendence, we have Johnny Depp becoming basically an Antichrist. And actually, check out this dream this woman had here. And tell me if it sounds very disturbing and much like what we're talking about here.
Back in 2011, late 2011, during the holiday season, I had this vision, and I was taken to this room, and it was a rather large, huge room, and it appeared that basically floor to ceiling almost full of computers, like computer screens, and they were more advanced than what we know today, than even our plasma flat screens. They were more advanced than that, even. They were incredibly advanced. These computer screens, they covered the walls, and maybe they were television screens. I don't know what they were. I just know they were screens that had some kind of projection, some kind. And it was absolutely ridiculous. And there was this dark figure behind them all that was just controlling everything. This figure was watching everyone and even controlling some. He had the ability to do what he wanted with certain people on the screens. I mean, if he wanted someone to die, they would. He had the ability to kill them right then. He had the ability to have others, make the other person's life a living hell. This dark figure had the ability to control everything. Maybe not everything, but certain people, I should say. And I believe those people this figure had control over were those who belonged to Lucifer. I didn't understand what it was at the time. I was really confused, and I didn't know a whole bunch of stuff. This was, I had received the Holy Spirit earlier that year, in April of 2011. So this is only a few months after receiving the Holy Spirit. So I was just beginning to see things, and I was just starting out and learning what the truth really was. And I didn't really fully understand that Lucifer is the god of this planet, of this world. He rules this world. And yes, the Creator has power over him, but he still allows Lucifer to control this planet. And people who remain in this world, this planet Earth, remain under Lucifer's control. And that was evident on those computer screens or TV screens that Lucifer had control over. There were no keyboards, there were no mouse, nothing. It was as if this dark figure could control the computer screens telepathically. It was as if he had control over it through his mind. It was advanced technology. It was ridiculous. I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm trying to aware you guys. Our Creator is a creator of love. Our God loves us. He loves us. This evil thing that has the computers, that was controlling him through his mind telepathically, that is of Lucifer. It's of Satan. It's of the devil.
You might have noticed that things have been changing just a little bit. In 2020, here in the US of A and also around the world, you have a lot of things going on with the economy. Months on end with businesses closed obviously is not a good thing. Now we're seeing a lot of stories about the fact that they've been printing this money for months, okay? It's been 3 months, and now people are actually starting to wonder what's going on. You know, some are really thinking what's going to happen with inflation. We're already starting to see some of these commodities like gold and silver increase in value finally, although they were initially held artificially low due to some certain things that were going on, like for instance Chase buying out this very large bank that had a huge stakehold in silver and gold, and they were able to keep the price artificially low for a couple months there. Now we're starting to see it climb. Now this is why it's wise to be getting into this now before it climbs way higher, because right now we're still seeing the fact that they're printing this money, okay? The way they responded to all that happened is going to change our economy forever, all right? Kind of how this article here is indicating. We're seeing a lot of things. Also, people are talking now that it's an obvious must own at this point for gold, copper, and silver. I myself have bought a number of things recently with gold and silver. And actually, I need to go buy some more, actually, considering the fact that we're still printing money. We're still not fully out of this thing. And it sounds like some people want to keep us in this thing, you know, where the businesses are all closed and everything. Which, why would they do that? I don't know. Good question, right? I think they actually have a reason behind it. So, and it may have something to do with the current prez. Maybe they don't like him so much and want him out. I don't know. But here we have a graph showing kind of what's going on. As you can see here, this kind of went straight up there. You see that? Straight up there, okay? We're talking about balance sheets going through the roof. Through the roof. Printing money, of course, whenever they print this money, it makes the money that's currently in your wallet worth less and less. So let's say there was I'm just making up a number. Let's just say there's $5 trillion in circulation. If they print another 3 trillion, you know, that 5 trillion is it's essentially gonna take a significant percentage from the amount of money, amount of value in your dollars. So if you had, let's say you had $8, it'd probably be worth $5. You see, eventually, maybe not right away, but once that money starts getting circulated and it starts sort of equilibrium out, it'll eventually be worth $5, that $8. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. Of course, they haven't printed that much yet, but you see kind of the idea. It could easily keep going this route. And it also starts exponentiating. We've seen countries in the past where you might have seen people talking about the fact they had to have a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread. Not exactly good, as you can imagine. So obviously, if you have gold and silver and other types of commodities, even copper they were talking about, and there's other things out there as well, these type of investments can retain their value, although they'll appear like they're going through the roof in value. In reality, they're merely retaining its actual value most of the time. When it comes to gold and silver, it's actually retaining the actual value of your money, while everybody else's money is going down in value, including all other currencies, because they're all tied together in this system. And they all go down together, and it looks like they're all, oh, look, see, the dollar is good against that dollar. Australian dollar and the US dollar look about the same. Well, actually, no. They're just all going down at the same time, so the value is losing on all of them. And this is why people don't really notice it, is because they always compare to other dollars, which are also in the same boat. You know, it's like looking at another boat next to you that's sinking. Oh, look, see, they're going down good too. Yeah, it's kind of like that, you know. But, I mean, interestingly, there is a website I highly recommend for buying gold, silver, and these type of metals. We have here APMEX here. This is a great website to buy from. I have a link in the description. Good pricing. I mean, it's only a little bit above the actual cost of gold and silver. Of course, it's going to be a little bit above because you have the coin being manufactured, and also some of these coins have some of their own intrinsic value because of what they represent. Might be U.S. Mint or whatever it might be. And in those cases, they actually cost a little bit more. And they all obviously will retain that value because they're, only so many are created and such and things like that. And of course, you also have silver bars. And some of these things can't be used as actual currency if it's just simply something of the material itself. You know what I mean? So you have also that as well. But interestingly, you have some good prices. I'd highly recommend looking at some of this stuff. There's also things like junk silver, which of course they also sell, which is, essentially silver dollars, half silver dollars and such that were printed back in the 50s or 60s, before when they actually had the dollar pegged to things like silver and gold, which of course they took off that standard. So those, and ironically, it's like a $50 in size. Back then it was worth $50, but now it's worth, $4 or $5. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. It's interesting. You can see how much inflation's already, because they took it off the standard, how much it's went up. You know what I mean? That $50 is now worth $5 in our system. And it used to be $50. It shows you how much inflation has been since that time. You know what I mean? So there's that. Also, we have we have also the fact that you could turn this into a business even. Now, I used to sell myself online, okay, on Amazon and other websites, eBay. But you were going to actually buy these like silver, usually silver is probably better, and sell them on these websites. Like, for instance, you can see, and usually for a good profit. And I actually had a friend who was also on this website, made videos. She would do this, and she actually started making some good money doing this, selling silver, all right? So you could literally buy it from APMEX here and then sell it over here for a profit. And, I mean, there's a lot of people that do this, and a lot of people simply go to this website because they think, oh, this has got the cheapest prices. You know what I mean? This is what people do. So, I mean, that's yet another way. You could actually make some money from it as well if you wanted to do that. So there's a lot of things there's a lot of ways you can take this. I personally just keeping the money, the silver and gold for myself, just so I have some on hand in case I really need it, or in case, the dollar goes, you know what I mean? Have to have a decent amount on hand in case something like that happens. Because once it goes down a lot, then it's going to be very hard to get sold gold and silver. And recently it was very difficult, but at any rate, you can still buy it here on this website. Some of these websites really hold a lot of it in stock and have it on hand. So it's just something I recommend. Check out the links in the description, and I would highly recommend you get a couple coins or something. And thanks for watching.